Okay, so before we continue into micronutrients, the last take-home message that I just want to get through to you guys is the storage aspect of carbs and fats. So carbohydrates, everybody, is going to be in limited storage. Fats, on the other hand, are going to be this unlimited supply that we can use as energy. So let's break this down. This table is looking at a 143-pound individual who's about 12% body fat. So that's really lean. They have about 2,500 calories of carbohydrates available to them that's stored in the liver, muscle, and then glucose that's found in our body fluids. On the other hand, an individual who is the same height and weight, right? I'm sorry, same weight and percent body fat is going to have almost 75,000 calories that is going to be in the subcutaneous, visceral, and intermuscular fat that we have throughout our body. So I can't emphasize enough to you guys to think of carbohydrates as this limited source of fuel, where we have fat, on the other hand, that is this unlimited source of fuel, which will bring us into micronutrients. So micronutrients are substances that are required by the body in small amounts. Mainly function is to cofactor in enzyme reactions that we use to break down our food into ATP so that we can utilize it as energy. These things do not contain energy themselves, but they're used as like to think of them as like we're adding fuel to the fire, right? We want to be able to break these things down efficiently. We want to function very at a high level, and so micronutrients can be think of if substrates are the actual wood pieces in a fire. You can think of the vitamins and minerals as like the fuel that you put on the fire to get it started, right? We want to have these micronutrients to continuously burn that wood very efficiently. So we have two different types of vitamins. We have water soluble vitamins and we have fat soluble vitamins. So water soluble vitamins are exactly what it means. They dissolve in water. And if we have too many or too much of the vitamins within our water, we're going to pee it out. So sometimes people's pee can be really expensive because they spend all this money on vitamins that they actually don't need. And you're just going to pee it out. And so an example here would be like vitamin C. Vitamin C is water soluble. So if we intake too much vitamin C, if your body can't utilize it, you get rid of it. Fat soluble vitamins, on the other hand, are exactly what it says. They're going to dissolve in fat and they're going to remain in the body for longer periods of time. We have 4 fat soluble vitamins: A, D, E, and K. So vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and potassium. And then we can have a little bit too much here. So the dangerous thing about fat soluble vitamins, like the ones we've just listed, is that if we have too much of them inside of our body, we can actually cause different things to start to break down. And we can get this like toxicity buildup that can be very dangerous. So I highly recommend, if any of you guys want to start taking vitamins, that you actually will get a blood draw and talk to your doctors before you just sign up and start taking a bunch of vitamins because somebody told you to, because it can lead to some pretty nasty things. Minerals, on the other hand, are going to be essential nutrients that are needed in small amounts to keep us healthy. Minerals do not give energy or calories, but it can help with other functions in your body. So your body does not make minerals, and to meet your daily needs, minerals need to be obtained throughout your diet. So vitamins and minerals, most of the time, you guys, we're going to get through our food, okay? And so if you have a very well-balanced diet, and we don't live in a third world country, we actually live in a country that has an abundance of things, most of the time you're going to meet these needs through the food that you eat. So keep that in mind. So different minerals are going to be things like calcium, phosphorus, sodium, chlorine, potassium. And you guys can see that we get a lot of these things, you guys, in the food that we eat. Chlorine, we get that from salt, fruit. We get potassium, milk. We get a lot of calcium. Most foods have phosphorus in it. My dad is actually a stage 5 renal failure patient, and his phosphorus levels have to be monitored all the time. Pretty much any food that we eat has phosphorus in it. It is crazy. because he has to stay away from all of the high phosphorus foods and maintain a really healthy diet. Magnesium, we can find in nuts, green vegetables, seafood, chocolate. I mean, I must be getting a lot of magnesium while we've been on this break. Um, and I think one to really point out for you guys is iron. So a lot of people are iron deficient, including myself, which I found out while I was in grad school because I thought I was dying. I started getting really sleepy and tired, and I went in and got my blood drawn. I found out that I was iron deficient, and I actually got put on an iron supplement to kind of help me with balancing out the amount of iron that I need to have. And I started increasing my red meat intake and kind of cooking in a cast iron and skillet. Now we're good to go. But just always listen to your body because these are things that we need in order to maintain life. So we do have dietary reference intakes, or DRIs, that are going to tell us the quantity of nutrients that we need to properly be functioning and be healthy. So I want you guys to understand each one of these and kind of how they function, okay? So our RDA, or our recommended daily allowance, this is going to be a quantity of nutrients that meets the needs of nearly all people. So the recommended daily amount is like, in a perfect world, this is the amount that we should have. Adequate intake is the recommended daily intake based on apparently healthy people. So if you're not getting the RDA, your next best, right, is to get at least, like, let's get an adequate index. Okay. So most people can take this amount, and you probably get this through a lot of your foods. The tolerable upper intake limit, or UL, is the highest amount that you can take that would likely pose no risk to you. So if you were going to take a lot of vitamin C or vitamin K or vitamin D, whatever it may be, you have an upper limit, and that would be, okay, if you took this, it probably won't cause any negative side effects. And then an estimated average requirement is the intake estimated to meet the requirements of half of the healthy people. So adequate index and estimated average requirements are two that are going to go kind of side and side, but one will maintain most of the people, which is our adequate index, and the second one of estimated average requirement will probably only meet the needs of half the people. And so I like this chart that we have that kind of breaks everything down. But when it comes to recommended dietary allowance, this is like the overall goal, right? We would love to be here. However, an estimated average requirement of people is going to be here. So this would require you to go into the hospital or into your doctor's office, get a blood draw, find out what your estimate of intake should be specifically to you. This is the adequate intake. So this is going to be beneficial for most people. And then this is going to be that upper level tolerance without having any risk of excess and whatnot in that case. So when we do studies inside of the lab that require, let's say, vitamin D, our goal is to get them to the recommended daily allowance of whatever the vitamins and minerals may be that we're trying to test. So in order to be the best version of yourself when it comes to sport, you guys, is we need a combination of all three of these things. We need to live a healthy eating lifestyle. We should have good sport nutrition, and that would hopefully increase the peak performance that we're about to have. I think it's important for us to think that we are what we eat. So if you are trying to lose weight or gain weight or perform at the best of your ability, you are what you eat. So we would not probably recommend athletes go, everybody eats Taco Bell right before the game, right? We want them to eat a healthy, well-balanced diet, and they are going to go out there and perform at their absolute best.